The galaxy had been burning for 300 years. The war between the Dominion Empire and the Star Federation had consumed everything in its path. Entire star systems lay in ruins. Billions of beings from countless species had died. Neither side could win, but neither side would stop. Commander Rex stood on the bridge of his battleship, watching another planet burn below. He was tired. His people, the Vexans, had joined this war 50 years ago, thinking they could make a difference. They were wrong. The war machine was too big, too hungry. It consumed everything. "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal," his officer reported. "From an unknown vessel." Rex turned. "Unknown?" "Everything in this sector belongs to either the Dominion or the Federation. Not this one, sir. The design. It's primitive. Metal hull, chemical engines. The database says it's from a species called humans?" Rex had never heard of humans. In this vast galaxy, new species were discovered sometimes, usually in the outer rim. But why would such a primitive vessel be here, in the middle of the greatest war zone in galactic history? "They're requesting immediate assistance," the officer continued. "Their ship is damaged." Rex hesitated. The law of war was clear. Help no one outside your alliance. But something made him pause. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was curiosity. "Bring them aboard," he ordered. The humans were strange creatures. Bipedal, no natural armor, no claws, no obvious weapons. They looked fragile. Their leader, a woman who called herself Captain Smith, stood before Rex with surprising confidence. "Thank you for saving us," Smith said. "We're explorers from Earth. We didn't know about your war." "Everyone knows about the war," Rex replied. "It's everywhere, not where we come from," Smith said. "We're new to space travel. We've only been among the stars for 5 years. 5 years. Rex's species had been in space for 5,000 years. These humans were infants. You need to leave," Rex told them. "This war destroys everything it touches. Go back to your Earth. Hide. Maybe the war won't find you." Smith looked at him strangely. "You've been fighting for 300 years?" "Yes. And no one can stop it?" "No one. The Dominion and Federation have weapons that can crack planets. Fleets that number in the millions. Technology beyond imagination. When they clash, stars die." Smith was quiet for a moment. Then she asked a simple question that would change everything. "Have you tried talking to them?" Rex almost laughed. "Talking? There have been 10,000 peace summits. Each one ended with more death. The hate runs too deep. The losses are too great. No one remembers why the war started, but everyone remembers who killed their families. But surely there must be soldiers like you," Smith said, "tired of fighting. On both sides, it doesn't matter what soldiers think. The war machine doesn't stop." Smith exchanged glances with her crew. "Commander Rex, we'd like to learn more about this war. We have experience with conflicts that seemed impossible to stop." Rex studied these strange, fragile beings. What could they possibly know about war on this scale? But something in Smith's eyes, a determination, a spark of something he hadn't seen in decades, made him curious. "Fine," he said. "But when you see what you're dealing with, you'll run." "Everyone does?" Smith smiled. It was a small smile, but somehow it carried weight. "Commander, humans have a saying, 'The difficult we do immediately. The impossible takes a little longer.' Over the next days, the humans studied everything. They asked questions no one had asked, not about weapons or territory, but about people, about families, about what soldiers missed from home. They wanted to know about food, music, celebrations. Rex found it bizarre. Don't you understand? He told Smith, "The enemy wants us dead." "All of us. I understand," Smith replied, making notes in her strange human script. "But they're also tired, aren't they?" After 300 years, everyone must be tired. Rex didn't know what the humans were planning. But for the first time in 50 years, he felt something dangerous stirring in his chest. That hope that 2 weeks had passed since the humans came aboard. Rex watched them work with growing bewilderment. They hadn't asked for weapon specifications. They hadn't studied battle tactics. Instead, they did something no one in the galaxy had done for centuries. They listened. Captain Smith and her team of 12 humans had interviewed every member of Rex's crew. Not as soldiers, but as people. They wanted to know about their homes, their families, their dreams before the war. "This is pointless," Rex's second-in-command, Tor, grumbled. "The enemy won't care about our feelings." But Smith wasn't deterred. "Commander Rex, we need to attend the battle. We need to see how this war is fought." Rex thought she was insane, but agreed. 3 days later, his fleet engaged a Federation squadron near a dying star. The battle was brutal, as always. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Thousands died in minutes. Through it all, the humans watched from the observation deck. They didn't flinch at the violence, but Rex saw Smith taking notes, her eyes tracking something he couldn't understand. After the battle, as Rex's crew collected their dead, Smith approached him. "The Federation ships, they're using the same evacuation protocols as you. So, when their ships are dying, they broadcast on the same emergency frequency. They use almost the same words. 'Tell my family I fought well. Remember us. For home.'" Rex felt anger rise. "Don't compare us to them. They started this war. Did they?" Smith asked gently. "You said no one remembers how it started." Rex turned away, but Smith continued. "Commander, your enemies mourn their dead the same way you do. They fear the same things. They're not monsters. They're mirror images of you. Even if that's true, it changes nothing. Too much blood has been spilled." Smith pulled out a small device. "On Earth, we had wars like this. Not on this scale, but wars where the hate seemed too deep to bridge. World War I, the 100 Years' War, the Cold War. Each time, people said peace was impossible. Each time, they were wrong. How?" Rex asked, despite himself. "By finding the one thing both sides wanted more than victory," Smith said. "Survival, peace, a future for their children. Commander, your war has no winners, only survivors. Everyone knows this, but no one knows how to stop." That night, Smith made a request that shocked everyone. "I want to send a message to the Federation." "And the Dominion. That's treason," Tor snarled. "We'd be executed." "Not a military message," Smith clarified. "A personal one. From the families of your crew to the families of theirs." The bridge went silent. Rex felt his hearts. He had 3 skip beats. "You want to send messages to our enemies' families?" "I want to remind everyone what they're fighting for," Smith said. "Not territory or revenge, but home, people, life." It was insane. It was dangerous. It was ... double quotes, how? Rex asked. Smith smiled. "Humans are new to space, remember? We're not part of your war. We're neutral. Both sides might listen to us, simply out of curiosity." Over the next week, Smith's team worked tirelessly. They collected messages from Rex's crew. Simple things. A father talking about his daughter's first steps. A soldier describing the sunset on his home planet. Songs, recipes, memories. Then, using the primitive human ship's communication system, so basic neither side would see it as a threat, they broadcast everything on all frequencies. The title of the broadcast was simple: "Letters from the War, the voices no one hears." For the first day, nothing happened. Then, on the second day, something extraordinary occurred. A Federation ship responded, not with weapons, but with their own messages, their own stories. Within a week, The space around them was filled with voices. Dominion, Federation, and dozen other species caught in the war, all sharing their stories, their pain, their exhaustion. Rex stood on his bridge, listening to an enemy soldier sing a lullaby to his child. The same lullaby Rex's mother had sung to him. "This won't stop the war," Tor said, but his voice was uncertain. "No," Smith agreed, "but it's a crack in the wall. And every wall that falls starts with a single crack." Rex looked at these impossible humans. They had no weapons that could crack planets, no fleets numbering in millions. But they had something else. They had the audacity to believe that enemies could remember they were people. Asterisk. The messages spread like wildfire through the galaxy. What started as a small broadcast from Rex's ship became an unstoppable wave. Soldiers on both sides began adding their voices, sharing their stories. The military commands tried to stop it, but it was too late. The dam had broken. Captain Smith stood before a holographic display showing the galaxy. Millions of points of light blinked, each one a message being shared. "It's working," she said to Rex, "but we need to move to Phase 2. Phase 2? Smith turned to him. "The messages are making soldiers on both sides see each other as people. But the war machine is bigger than individual soldiers. We need to reach the commanders, the admirals, the ones who make decisions." Rex laughed bitterly. "Admiral Cora of the Dominion? General Zan of the Federation? They're the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They won't listen to anyone, especially not primitive humans. They'll listen," Smith said confidently. "If we give them something they want, what could humans possibly have that they want?" Smith pulled up a new display. It showed Earth, a small blue and green planet in an insignificant solar system. A neutral ground, a place where neither side has power. A place for peace talks. There have been peace talks before. "Not like this," Smith interrupted. "Every previous peace talk was on territory controlled by one side or the other. Always with warships nearby. Always with the threat of violence. Earth has no warships. We have no stake in your war. We're offering something new, true neutral ground." Rex studied the display. "They'll never agree." "They will," Smith said, "because the alternative is becoming clear. Commander, show her the reports." Rex's officer Vera brought forward intelligence reports. The war was reaching a breaking point. Resources were running out. Entire species were going extinct. Birth rates were plummeting. The galaxy was dying. "Your war has 3 possible endings," Smith said. "Total victory for one side, which is impossible. Mutual destruction, which is increasingly likely. Or peace. We're offering a path to the third option." Rex was about to respond when alarms blared. "Dominion fleet incoming." Tor shouted. 300 ships. Rex rushed to his station. This was it. They were dead. His small fleet of 30 ships couldn't stand against such a force. But the Dominion fleet didn't attack. Instead, a message came through. "This is Admiral Cora. I want to speak with the humans." The bridge fell silent. Admiral Cora, the most feared military commander in the galaxy, wanted to talk. Smith stepped forward. "Put her through." The hologram that appeared showed a creature of living crystal, beautiful and terrible. Admiral Cora's voice rang like breaking glass. "You're the humans causing disruption in my fleet?" "We're sharing messages of hope," Smith replied calmly. "Nothing more. My soldiers are refusing orders. They say they won't fire on ships that might carry the people they've been talking to. This is your doing. With respect, Admiral, your soldiers are refusing to kill because they've remembered why they're fighting. Not for conquest, but for home. For family." Cora's crystalline form pulsed with anger. "The Federation must be destroyed. They killed billions of my people, And you killed billions of theirs, Smith said. How many more billions must die before you're satisfied? When will enough be enough? When they're all dead? And if you achieve that, Smith said softly, what then? What will you rule over? Ashes? Empty worlds? The graves of children? Cora was silent. Smith continued. Admiral, I've read your service record. You started this war as a young officer fighting to protect your home world. That was 250 years ago. Your home world has been destroyed and rebuilt 4 times since then. Is this the legacy you want? What choice do I have? Cora's voice was different now. Tired. The Federation won't stop. Come to Earth, Smith said. You and General Zan. No weapons, no fleets, just leaders talking. We have a saying on Earth. Jaw is better than war. Give us one chance. If it fails, you can return to your war. Cora's form flickered. The Federation would never agree. As if on cue, another alarm sounded. A Federation fleet appeared on the opposite side of Rex's position. 200 ships, led by General Zan himself. Rex's heart stopped. They were caught between the 2 most powerful fleets in the galaxy, but neither fleet fired. General, Zan's message came through. I want to speak with the humans who've turned my soldiers into philosophers. Smith smiled. Admiral Cora, meet General Zan. General Zan, meet Admiral Cora. You're both here for the same reason. Maybe it's time to talk. Asterisk, the journey to Earth took 3 weeks. For the first time in 3 centuries, Admiral Cora and General Zan traveled without their war fleets. Each brought only a single ship and 10 guards. The humans had somehow convinced them. Rex accompanied them as a neutral observer, still hardly believing what was happening. Captain Smith traveled with them on her small human vessel, leading this impossible convoy toward Earth. This is insane, Tor whispered to Rex. They'll kill each other the moment they meet. But Smith had planned for that. The first meeting wouldn't be between the Admiral and the General. It would be between their guards. When they reached Earth, Rex was surprised. He'd expected military installations, defensive platforms. Instead, he saw a peaceful blue world with primitive space stations. The humans truly were defenseless. They landed in a place called Geneva, in something humans called the Peace Hall, a simple building by a lake. No weapons, no shields, just wood and stone and glass. Smith had arranged something unprecedented. Before the leaders met, their guards would share a meal. A human custom, she said, from something called breaking bread. Rex watched in amazement as the deadly warriors of both sides sat at the same table. The humans served food from across Earth. Simple dishes, nothing like the elaborate cuisines of advanced civilizations. But somehow, the simplicity worked. A Dominion guard tried something called pizza. A Federation soldier laughed at his expression. Within minutes, they were comparing foods from their home worlds. The atmosphere shifted from suspicion to curiosity. Then Smith did something brilliant. She had children deliver the next course. Human children, running around, laughing, spilling things. The guards, these hardened killers, softened visibly. One Federation guard helped a little girl who dropped her tray. A Dominion warrior showed a boy a harmless light trick with his weapon. Children, Smith said to Rex, the universal reminder of what really matters. When Admiral Cora and General Zan finally met, the atmosphere had changed. Their guards weren't ready to kill. They were relaxed. The 2 leaders stood facing each other in the simple hall. Cora's crystalline form reflected the sunlight. Zan's metallic body hummed with barely contained energy. You destroyed my home fleet at Vega 7, Zan said. You obliterated my science colony at Prima 4, Cora replied. Smith stepped between them. Yes, you've both done terrible things. The question is, will you keep doing them? She gestured to a wall, covered in pictures. These are images sent by your soldiers, their families, their homes, their children. Look at them. Both leaders turned. The wall held millions of tiny images. Dominion families, Federation families, all the species caught in between. Children playing, parents working, life continuing despite the war. Every battle you fight destroys thousands of these futures, Smith said. You both entered this war to protect your people. Look at what you're protecting them from now, each other. But what if you protected them together? Together? Cora's voice cracked like ice. Impossible, is it? Smith pulled up a holographic display. Your technologies are complementary. Dominion Crystal Tech could solve the Federation's energy crisis. Federation bioscience could heal the Dominion's genetic degradation from centuries of war. You're stronger together than apart. Too much blood, Zan said. My people would never accept peace. Your people are already accepting it. Smith showed them data. The message is being shared. 60% of both your populations are participating. They're tired. They want to go home. They want to live. Rex watched the two leaders. For the first time in centuries, they weren't looking at each other as enemies. They were looking at each other as ... tired. Smith continued for hours. Not with grand speeches, but with simple facts. Economic projections showing prosperity through peace. Medical data showing how many lives could be saved. Agricultural plans that could feed both civilizations. On Earth, Smith said finally, we had two groups that hated each other for generations. They fought terrible wars. Killed millions. Everyone said peace was impossible. But their leaders took one brave step. They shook hands. That handshake led to decades of peace. She looked at both leaders. I'm not asking you to forget the past. I'm asking you to choose a future. Your species, all species in this galaxy, deserve that chance. Cora and Zan looked at each other. 300 years of war sat between them. Then Zan did something no one expected. He deactivated his weapon systems. Completely, he stood defenseless before his greatest enemy. If you want to kill me, he said to Cora, do it now. But if you're as tired as I am, maybe we should talk. The silence in the peace hall stretched for eternity. Admiral Cora stared at General Zan, who stood completely defenseless before her. Rex held his breath. Everyone waited. Then Cora did something that would be remembered for millennia. She laughed. It wasn't a bitter laugh or a mocking one. It was the laugh of someone who finally understood a cosmic joke. 300 years, she said. 300 years of trying to kill each other, and we're both still here. Still tired. Still losing. She deactivated her own weapons. Let's talk. What followed was the most extraordinary 72 hours in galactic history. Smith and her team facilitated discussions that no one thought possible. Not grand negotiations, but simple conversations. Cora spoke about her daughter, killed in the war's early days. Zan talked about his son, who'd never known peace. They shared their exhaustion, their regrets, their fears that the war would never end. We've become the war, Zan said on the second day. I don't even remember who I was before it. Neither do I, Cora admitted. I've been Admiral so long, I forgot I was once just someone who loved to watch stars. Smith introduced them to human concepts. Forgiveness, not forgetting, but choosing to move forward. Reconciliation, enemies becoming partners. Most importantly, hope. On the third day, something remarkable happened. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Soldiers on both sides were laying down arms. Not surrendering, just stopping. The message exchanges had reached critical mass. Too many soldiers had connected with the enemy to keep fighting. Your people are choosing for you, Smith told the leaders. You can lead them to peace or be replaced by someone who will. Cora and Zan looked at each other. Then, in front of everyone, they did what no one had done for 3 centuries. They shook hands. The image was broadcast across the galaxy instantly. The leaders of the 2 greatest military powers standing together, choosing peace. But Smith wasn't done. A handshake isn't enough, she said. You need something stronger. A shared project. Something that turns enemies into partners. She revealed what the humans had been working on. The Galactic Restoration Initiative. 300 years of war has devastated thousands of worlds. What if, instead of fighting over them, you rebuilt them together? The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Joint teams from both sides working to restore dead worlds. Shared technology. Shared resources. Shared purpose. Your soldiers need a mission, Smith explained. They've been warriors for so long, they don't know how to be anything else. Make them builders. Heroes of peace instead of war. Within weeks, the first joint missions launched. Dominion and Federation forces, working side by side, bringing life back to dead worlds. It wasn't easy. There were fights, tensions, old hatred surfacing. But every restored city, every replanted forest, every saved species made it harder to see each other as enemies. Rex watched it all with wonder. His own crew was assigned to restore a world that had been destroyed early in the war. Working beside Federation forces they'd fought just months ago, they rebuilt cities, cleaned oceans, brought back extinct animals from genetic banks. One day, 6 months after the Earth Summit, Rex found Captain Smith standing on a hill on the restored world, watching Dominion and Federation children playing together, the first generation to know peace. How did you know? Rex asked her. How did you know it would work? Smith smiled. Because humans have been where you were. We've had wars that seemed endless, hatred that seemed permanent. But we learned something important. No matter how deep the hate, the desire for peace is deeper. It just needs someone to show the way. But you're so primitive, Rex said, not unkindly. No advanced weapons, no space fleets. How could you change what we couldn't? Sometimes, Smith said, the most advanced solution is the simplest one. You were so focused on winning the war, you forgot you could end it. We just reminded you that enemies are just friends who haven't talked. Yet, Rex looked at the children playing. Dominion and Federation, their laughter identical. The galaxy will remember what humans did. No, Smith said. The galaxy will remember what you did. What Cora and Zan did. What millions of soldiers did when they chose peace over war. We just asked the right questions. As the sun set over the restored world, Rex realized the humans had done something no advanced civilization could do. They'd brought hope to a hopeless war. They'd changed the game not with weapons or technology, but with the simplest thing in the universe. They'd reminded everyone that peace was possible. The war no one could stop had ended not with a bang, but with a handshake. And the galaxy would never be the same. Epilogue note: 1 year later, the Galactic Peace Alliance was formally established, with Earth as its symbolic capital. Not because humans were powerful, but because they were weak. Their weakness had been their strength. No one feared them, so everyone listened to them. The Great War entered history books, not as a victory for either side, but as a victory over war itself. And in every classroom across the galaxy, children learned about the small, primitive species from a distant world who asked simple questions and changed everything.